So when we started 14 days ago with a half a dozen of us out here, Cynthia and I and a brave band, we had no idea it would grow into this. We have had people from all across the state come out here and sleep in tents and come out here for our community circles. But this part you may not know. We've also had people from across the country reach out and offer help and ask what they can do. And we've actually had people email us from other countries saying they heard about the SleepOut and what can they do to help. And I have the honor tonight to introduce another one of my heroes. Monica, you met as one of them. Another one of them who is a friend coming from our neighbor to the north, Massachusetts, to support what we're doing and be in solidarity with us. Reverend Mariama White-Hammond is a great social justice leader, a pastor. She is someone who has dedicated her life and her extraordinary talents to lifting up every step of the way, deliberately, carefully, lovingly, thoughtfully, seriously, those who are most left out in our society, the young, the marginalized, the poor. And she has been with this movement every step of the way and has been fighting alongside in solidarity for this cause for a long, long time. She's one of the most important moral voices in our country, my friend, Reverend Mariama White-Hammond.
So, as I was preparing to come here, I started to realize that about 10 years ago at this very time, we were discussing whether or not to take down the tents we had set up in Dewey Square in Boston as part of the Occupy Boston movement. And I had the opportunity as part of Occupy to connect with people in Detroit and Atlanta and San Francisco. And what's overwhelming to me now is that 10 years ago we were talking about the fact that the cost of land and housing was rising and that it was locking people out. I'm tired of going to parties for friends of mine who are moving to other neighborhoods. I'm not knocking those other places, but they're not leaving because they don't love Boston and they don't love the communities that they grew up in. They're leaving because they can't afford the price of rent in the city that they love. So this is not just a Rhode Island problem. This is a problem throughout our country and around the world. What's so unjust about this moment is that there was legislation called the American Recovery Plan. And it was supposed to be there for folks who have gotten hit the hardest. And some of the big businesses that were not struggling figured out a way to get paid. And I'm not knocking so many of our small businesses that have struggled and many people who need help. But how is it that our most vulnerable citizens are asked to wait at the end of the line? A country that behaves that way can never truly recover. Because COVID is a pandemic, but there's a deeper problem in this country. Many people know me for the work I do around ecological issues. And when they ask me, how do you think of your work? I tell them I do ecological justice work. And this is not a knock of any other term. I also believe in climate justice and environmental justice. But ecological justice is what makes the most sense to me because eco means home. And ecology as a discipline doesn't look at things as sort of atoms or in their small parts. It doesn't study a frog by itself, but it says, if I want to understand that frog, I need to understand the pond that it lives in and the trees that fall into that pond and all of the plants around it, because all of those pieces together make up the ecosystem. Ecology thinks about relationships. We are out here tonight because this nation has a fundamental problem with its relationships. From the very beginning, in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts, and in all of this northern area, this land was stolen because land. And from there, we went on and did a whole bunch of other ecologically disastrous things because we didn't know how to live in right relationship. So I believe that in this moment, we are not called just to recover from this pandemic, but we are to take the deep vulnerability and suffering and death that we have experienced over these last 18 months and choose never to go back to who we were before this pandemic. We are to choose to be in right relationship with all the human beings that share this planet and with the non-human beings that also are part of this planet. Because last time I checked, I don't know how to make oxygen, and I have no ability to create water, and I depend on creatures that I don't even think about sometimes to make sure that I can live and breathe. And so it's exciting to be here with you. And as Cynthia said, we shouldn't have to be out here. 10 years later, I shouldn't be talking about the same things I was talking about 10 years ago in Occupy, and it's gotten even worse since then. And solidarity, choosing to be in relationship with each other, choosing to see the person that I pass by as my brother or sister, that is what we are called to. So I want to share a song because no good movement can make it without music. And this song is a song out of the environmental justice movement. It was created by Yara Allen, who was a song leader and ethnomusicologist. And she tells the story of being at a meeting. In South Carolina, there were a group of pastors that had gotten together. What had happened is a few of them had done funerals for really young people that died of strange cancers. And when it was just one person in one church and one person in another church, they didn't start to put the connection together, but finally one pastor talked to another and said, "Really? I had that same experience." And then they talked to another. And what they began to realize is that they had a cancer cluster in their community. And then they started digging to understand why they had a cancer cluster. And probably to no surprise, there was a company that had been dumping toxic chemicals in their community that were entering the water stream. And Yara said she went to that meeting planning to sing "We Shall Overcome," but after hearing the stories of struggle and suffering, she just didn't feel like that was the right song for the moment. And so in that meeting, she composed this song. And it's called "Somebody's Hurting My Brother." That's what she called it. We're gonna go with sibling so that we can include everybody who considers them a brother, sister, or no gender. So with that, I'm gonna sing and I'm gonna ask you to join along with me. So the words are, "Somebody's hurting my sibling, and it's gone on far too long." Yes, it's gone on far too long. Well, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting my sibling, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't stay silent anymore. All right, so I'm gonna sing it. If you know the song, please jump in. And if not, you'll pick it up as we go along. Somebody's hurting my sibling, and it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. Well, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting my sibling, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't stay silent anymore. Okay, let's do that again. Somebody's hurting my sibling, and it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. Well, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hurting my sibling, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't stay silent anymore. Somebody's hoarding the money. Somebody's hoarding the money, and it's gone anymore. Somebody's hoarding the power. Somebody's hoarding the power, and it's gone on far too long. Well, it's gone on far too long. Yes, it's gone on far too long. Somebody's hoarding the power, and it's gone on far too long. And we won't stay silent anymore. And we won't stay silent anymore. And we won't stay silent anymore. One more time. And we won't stay silent anymore.